Hey everyone! We're doing a slight rebranding, but this is still going to be the same content as before. I will do a deck tech and then play one match and talk about a deck that I don't think is at the absolute highest of heights, but is doing something different or interesting. So let's get right into it. Today we are playing Rakdos Burn. And the interesting thing about this current standard format is that we actually get a couple very good black burn cards. Sovereign's Bite is a great rate if you're just planning on pointing the burn spells at your opponent anyway. Swordpoint Diplomacy, though, is a little bit different. This card is honestly kind of awful on its own. It just doesn't do enough in either direction. But given the other critical mass of burn in this deck, I think it shines a lot more than before. The thing about Punisher mechanics, where you deal damage to your opponent unless they let you do something, is they get better in a critical mass, because eventually an opponent can't afford to pay 3 life, and this just becomes a draw 3 out of burn, which is excellent, and may sound familiar because it sounds a lot like one of the better cards in Standard. The sideboard is a mix of reactionary cards and transformative ones. You've got, like, answers for threats that would beat you in the main deck, and then also we can transform into big threats that opponent will have trouble beating. So why is this deck good? It is difficult for opponents to interact with. I played against Control twice, and those were kind of tough because they have counters. But if you play against Black-Green, or even the Is It Phoenix deck, which doesn't have a lot of counters, they can't really do anything. You'll just sit there and keep casting Sovereign's Bite every turn, and they don't know how to respond. They'll just sit there and kind of die. Weaknesses of the deck, though, you're very at the mercy of your draws. If you flood out, you're just kind of going to die most of the time. And also, your deck just isn't flexible. We've got a few cards like these 2 burn spells and Shock that can be pointed at our opponent's creatures, but generally, I suppose Wizard's Lightning too. But we're not very good at that. We can't really afford to spend Wizard's Lightning on opponent's creatures. So, for instance, if opponent plays a Nicol Bolas the Ravager, we're kind of just going to sit there and die to that. And that's the biggest issue, honestly, that I have with this deck, is losing with it is kind of miserable. You just die slowly and hope to draw a Swordpoint Diplomacy or a Risk Factor, and you never do, and you just lose, and it's not a fun way to go. Anyway, though, I think that about covers it for what the deck does. Let's go ahead and get into the match. Alright, starting up against the Lawn Dragon. It is funny, I mentioned how the deck feels really bad when it loses, and it does, but it also feels really clean and smooth when it wins. You just cast all the cards in your hand and the opponent dies. This is not good enough. Don't have nearly enough damage in this hand. Shock is so awkward because it's really efficient, and you kind of need to play it to get cards out of your hand efficiently, get Lava Runner higher, that type of stuff. But, 2 damage for a card is just not enough in a burn deck. Opponent taking their time. Oh, the other problem the deck has that I didn't mention is the mana sucks. We don't have Rakdos out of the Guilds of Ravnica yet, so we don't have Blood Crypt. Instead, you get Dragonskull Summit, which is fine. We've got plenty of basics. I think there's 12. That's enough. Cinder Barrens, though, is garbage, and we are forced to play it, and that is unfortunate. Gonna go ahead and cut. We'll come back when opponent decides if they want to keep their opening hand. Alright, opponent kept their hand. We're going to mulligan, because that hand was garbage. I think this one's okay. Sure. That's not a pretty card to have on top, but tap land on 1, then 1-drop tap land, and then we're kind of doing it. This hand has a lot of gas. It doesn't just have 5 spells, it has 2 of our best spells. Okay, black-green. It's going to say, if opponent plays a Wild Growth Walker, we cannot possibly win. And if they play anything else, I think this is a good matchup for us. Okay, we drew the mountains, so we can play out this Electrostatic Field. This is a matchup where this card is great. It's going to buy us a lot of time, opponent can't really attack through it, and it's also going to deal a lot of damage. Yeah, Opponent just can't really do anything. I think I'm just going to... I think I'm casting one of my spells this turn, rather than these, because they don't really do anything on this board. Like, I could Fanatical Firebrand and shoot down the 2-1, but Lavarunner can't even attack here, so I think we want to wait until we have spells in our graveyard. The question is, which one do we do first? I'm going to Sword Point Diplomacy. Okay. This is why this card is pretty mediocre. A lot of the time is we spent 3 mana on this, and we flipped 2 lands and a mediocre spell, so we'll see what they do. But even if they just let us have all 3, like, that's still... Okay. But that still was draw 2 cards, and we're okay with the lands, since we've got stuff to do with them. And it dealt 3 damage. So that is a lot, even though this was, like, worst case scenario. Okay. Alright. I think we can go ahead and play 1 land, since we've got a lot of this stuff left. I think I'm going to play a Fanatical Firebrand and pass. Because what I'm going to do is block the Chupacabra and then shoot the Branchwalker, buy us a lot of time for these risk factors to take over the game. And block. See what opponent's got. BG just really isn't that good at closing out the game. Like, they can generate a huge advantage, they can control the board, but they have trouble actually just killing us. Okay. I think I can play 1 more land. It doesn't really do anything yet, but it'll give us more resources later. On it, not giving up their Llanowar Elves. Maybe they have like a Vivian Reed or some double green card. Is there a reason to do this now or later? Yeah, I guess there are creatures that I could draw, which in that case I should have done it pre-combat main phase in case I draw a Ghitu Lavarunner. Nope, opponent just takes the damage. That's fine by me. Oh, haha. Never mind. I shouldn't have done it pre-combat. Okay, there's a double green card. I was correct not to do it pre-combat. Because this took the instant or sorcery out of my graveyard, and so it would have shrunk my Lavarunner down. Opponent did not want to do that, because now they are dead on board. But even if they let us draw 3 cards there, I think we're very likely to win. It's going to take them a couple turns to end with this, and yeah, we were a burn deck that drew 3 extra cards. Okay, got there in that game. So, what do we want to be doing? The question is, how is opponent going to choose to sideboard? You can bring in Goblin Chainwhirler here, but I don't really like it. It kills Branchwalker and Llanowar Elves, and that's about it. Which, maybe that's good enough. Maybe we're supposed to cut, like, I don't know, Shocks or something. The other card that I'm looking at is Rekindling Phoenix. This is a resilient threat. It can often win the game on its own, but it can also just die to a Vraska's Contempt if they still leave those in which case we will feel dumb. So, I think I am actually going to cut a couple Lava Coils. They don't really have small-ish creatures we need to deal with, and this can't go to the face, and the lack of flexibility really hurts. I'm going to bring in the Chainwhirlers. We can reevaluate after Game 2. Sand is really good. It'll be hard for them to kill us quickly, and we've got our powerful either deal a lot of damage or generate value cards. We getting duressed here? Yeah, okay. Well, we lose one of our sweet cards, probably this one, since Risk Factor still works in the graveyard. If we can stick these two, we're going to kill them very quickly. Adding 2 damage to every spell is a lot. Oh boy, well, We're not sticking this turn because that needs to die. Just, we're lucky that we had a Lightning Strike because cannot beat this card ever in a million years. Okay. I was like, please don't play another one. Well, that is bad news. And that's good news. Okay. Some things are working out in our favor. Next turn. Oh, they didn't hit their second green for Finebroker. Ah, they do have a Vraska's Contempt, though. That is unfortunate. Well, I'm glad we didn't bring in the Phoenixes, because they don't match up well if opponent left these in. Let's go ahead, play this. I think we're in a pretty good spot here, even though opponent's at 21. They are going to have a hard time attacking through this field. Yeah, this card is whatever. Sure. They're still missing double green for their Finebroker. And all of our burn spells are just a little bit better because of this. So, unfortunately, neither of these are wizards. I think we're just going to go ahead and pass. Okay, they hit their second green. We're going to need to start applying a lot of pressure just because opponent has a lot of bodies now. Yep, they get back their Wild Growth Walker. We will continue to leave up Lightning Strike and strike that down. And let's go ahead and Risk Factor. Okay. It's about how I expected that to go. This is really awkward. I wish we had one extra mana, but alas, that is not the case. Let's see, they will probably play a Wild Growth Walker, will Lightning Strike it down, and just take some damage. That's not great. That said, we don't have to kill this yet if they don't have an Explore creature. What I actually want to do, since it's another inefficient spell, I'm actually going to Wizard's Lightning down this Branch Walker, which is, like, not very efficient, but it means we can keep leaving up Lightning Strike for the Wild Growth Walker. Okay. Yeah. And this way we get to buy a lot more time by blocking all of their 3-power attackers every turn. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and Lightning Strike Wild Growth Walker. I'm going to go ahead and shoot this down, so because we don't want them to get like a 4-3 and have another good attacker. Yeah, sure. I assume they're going to put that in the graveyard. Yep, and they get a swamp. Alright, this game is close. If opponent top decks well, they might just play another big creature. Huh. They should have attacked with both of these. That was a weird decision. Like, it's just one free damage. There's no reason not to. Okay. We don't have anything we want to discard, and we did play out lands aggressively, making these risk factors slightly worse. But this is a damage, and it's going to make it hard for the opponent to attack, so. They're flooding out a bit, but that's what happens when you play a million Explore creatures. Oh my. Well, that's bad news. That is going to kill us quickly. How are we supposed to play this? Not entirely sure. This is complicated. God, I wish we had one more card, but that's always the way, isn't it? Let's see, if we play this out and then flashback a risk factor, puts them to 6. If they take 4, they're down to 2. Pretty much any top deck kills them. Well, but that is our top deck, casting this. Okay. I think that is what I'm going to do, though. Here I'm going to just take 7. Then next turn we can look to risk factor, deal a bunch of damage, and then start throwing away our board to stay alive through the Tyrant. Okay. They're leaving that where it is. Alright. Let's see what they do here. Letting me draw 3 cards. Yeah, I think that was what they had to do, but it is not pretty. So, I'm also just going to do this main phase. I could do it after they attack, but I don't think that matters very much. They have to let us draw 3 cards again, because otherwise they die. Okay. Those are not the best dot decks possible. Oh man, I really wish I had another mana to get this Lava Runner down. But basically, we just need to make sure we live through the turn, and then... Okay. Duress probably taking a shock. Whew, this is gonna be close. No. I would not have recommended that, because this is still effectively in our hand, and we can cast it with what's here. Okay. So... how should we block? I think I'm going to block like this because it gives the opponent the option to make a mistake. Any option of any oh wait, no. This gives them both. That was wrong. Oh boy. I should have just blocked with the 2 electrostatic fields because then that's all they get is a field. Yeah, that was just wrong. Oh boy. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think we're living another turn through a second Carnage Tyrant. But okay, yep. Wow, this was the quintessential burn game. Not only did we draw exactly well to stay alive, we misplayed to the board and it didn't matter because we had burn spells in hand. So yeah, that's Rakdos Burn. If you liked this deck and you want to see other decks like it, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel. I'll keep playing shorter videos in the middle of the week, and Monday and Friday have full deck techs with a bunch of matches. That's all I've got for today. Thank you and bye.